Thanks everyone for coming tonight, especially, hello? Okay, especially the candidates who've taken the time out of their campaigning to come here. Really appreciate it. I'd like to ask all the candidates if they come sit in these chairs. We'll be rotating them up here by office as we do this. My name is Hank Hirsch. I'm the president of the board of the New Pine Plains Herald. As most of you know, the Herald's a free weekly online newspaper designed to cover the 5 towns in the Pine Plains Central School District. We are nonprofit, nonpartisan. If you don't subscribe, we'd love to get you to subscribe so you can learn what we're up to. And if you'd like to donate, we appreciate that. We're totally supported by donations and grants. Tonight's event will be the second time we've done a Meet the Candidates session. We have another Meet the Candidates tomorrow at 7 in Stamford. And I hope this is an opportunity for everybody to learn about what they stand for and bring us together as a community. We will be videoing this and it'll be up on YouTube in case you know people who wanted to come and couldn't attend. And with that, I would like to introduce our moderator for tonight's Meet the Candidate session, the editor-in-chief of the Herald, Patrick Brigham.
Thank you so much, Hank, and thank you to all of the candidates for taking the time today. Thank you to all of you, the voters of Pine Plains, for showing up and participating in your local democracy here at the community center. Thank you to everyone who's here. So the goal tonight is simple: to give voters a fair and informative opportunity to speak directly to you, the voters of Pine Plains. So here's how the evening will work. Each candidate will begin with a brief introduction. They'll have a set amount of time to answer questions. I think it's 2 minutes per question. And then we'll basically, it's going to go in by category. So people running for town supervisor will speak, followed by people running for town board, followed by the Dutchess County offices. So a few ground rules before we begin. There will be no direct questions from the audience. Questions were submitted in advance online, and all of the questions were basically created by our editorial team, informed by questions that were submitted directly from our readers. I'll be keeping time on my phone to ensure fairness, and each candidate will have 30 seconds for closing remarks at the conclusion of the evening, and each candidate will have about 90 seconds for opening remarks. So we'll begin now with the candidates for Pine Plains Town Supervisor, Kevin Walsh and Brian Walsh. So please come up. Great, so you'll each have 90 seconds to introduce yourselves. Okay, Kevin Walsh, please go first.
Good evening, my name is Kevin Walsh and I'm running for town supervisor. I sit before you as a current town board member who ran 2 years ago because I felt I could make a difference in helping Pine Plains be a better version of itself. My goals were honest and in the best interest of Pine Plains. During my tenure, I've learned how leadership at the top of an organization determines the direction that it will travel and how far it will go. As councilman, I have reestablished the Conservation Advisory Council. I was the creator of a local law requiring the interim supervisor to be a member of the town board to ensure that the interim is up to speed on the current issues before the board with no outside interference. I was part of the team that found and hired choice words to find and write grants for the town. I formed the wastewater committee to find alternative methods for municipal wastewater. I pay close attention to the finances of the town because I understand the importance of the oversight responsibilities of a board member. Pine Plains continues to lose business and thus tax revenue. If we don't change the way we support business in this town, we will continue to lose important and necessary infrastructure. As supervisor of the town, I will immediately begin to work on the town website and use it as the tool it was meant to be. I will produce a newsletter to keep the town informed. I will entice and support local business. I I will continue to work on the central wastewater to facilitate the infrastructure needed to help the business district. None of this can happen without great leadership. Vote for me in November, and I promise the leadership necessary to move Pine Plains forward. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for everybody coming and attending this event tonight. My name is Brian Walsh. I'm currently your town supervisor. Been town supervisor for the last 4 years. I'm born and raised in Pine Plains. I've seen Pine Plains grow. I've seen Pine Plains take setbacks. We need to move forward. Everybody understands that. I understand that. And we can't move forward unless we all move forward together.
Thank you for your opening remarks. We'll now begin with 6 questions. Starting with, and we're just going to alternate, so the way we have it written is Brian, you'll begin. So in March 2025, the town board unanimously approved a contract with the firm Labella Associates to design a new town hall for the town's North Main Street property. In December 2024, the firm estimated that a new 6,000 square foot town hall would cost an estimated $4.5 million. Do you support the construction of a new town hall? And if so, why? And further, how do you propose the town pay for it?
Thank you. Yes, I do support a new town hall. Ultimately, it's going to come down to dollars and cents. There are not that many grants out there to pay for this project, so it would have to be paid for by taxes over a length of time. However, costs, as everybody's seen, have grown. So we need to take that into consideration and possibly think of alternatives if it comes down to that. We have not gotten exact estimate costs, as we are not close to the building stage right now. We are still in the planning stages. So ultimately, that decision would have to be made when we get those costs and see if the town could afford that. We're not about raising taxes to pay for a new town hall.
So Labella Associates informed us that one of the biggest expenses with the town hall is when we include the police department and the courts in the same building. It increases the square foot cost, and the simplest way to change that was to build a wall between the two sections so that they are independent, therefore reducing the cost of the overall building. But there's another way. We have those 2 pieces of property in the center of town that would be a perfect location for the town hall, and we still have the original building, or the old building that we're currently using. And my idea would be to leave the police department and the court in that building, thereby really reducing the cost of the new town hall, probably less than half of what they proposed. So I am for it. It is doable, and we will find a way through it.
Thank you. So now we will begin with Kevin Walsh first. Do you believe that Pine Plains needs a centralized wastewater system for the downtown district? Please explain your position, and if you do support it, how would you propose the town proceed to pay for it, construct it, and if you don't support it, how do you think the town can get around needing such a system?
Those are some great questions. I definitely support municipal wastewater in the center of Pine Plains. It is crucial. It's central to all things that Pine Plains needs to move forward. Without it, the business district cannot grow. It can't survive. It's the greatest difficulty that we currently experience. As far as paying for it, again, we're hoping that Choice Words will be able to help us with some municipal grants. How likely that is in the current environment, I don't think it's very likely. So,
not with you there.
Please be respectful of the candidates.
Yeah, why don't you be respectful when you write articles about Peck's Market?
Pay no attention
Please.
to the clown in the audience.
Please,
So that
Screaming at me in Peck's Market.
we need the
Yeah,
audience
that's about enough
to remain
of that.
respectful of the candidates and of this forum. Thank you.
So, sorry about that. Just ignore it. Something I've had to put up with quite a bit. So anyway, it's a difficult process and it requires a lot of work. So there are no simple answers. It will not be easy, but we will try.
I'm not against a wastewater system. However, we need to have property to develop this system. Right now, we currently do not have property to develop this system. If we had property and we were to develop it, yes, grants could pay for this at the time. Ultimately, it comes down to property. There's none that we have, and I refused to take property from somebody. You wouldn't want your property taken from you. I'm sure no one else would want their property taken from them.
So allow me to ask one follow-up question, about this issue. So you mentioned taking property. It's come to my attention that there has been some discussions about utilizing the property adjacent to the Catholic Church, St. Anthony's. People have discussed, potentially using that property as a site to develop such a central wastewater system. Would either of you support either, pursuing that property through a purchasing process or pursuing that property through eminent domain? Kevin first.
So that's a very complicated question to answer. There is currently no plan to take the property from the Catholic Church. However, we would look at all possibilities, any land that's around, and make a reasonable attempt. We would also start discussions with the church to see if they would be, willing to work with us and help us get our wastewater system, and that would be a wonderful location. Taking the property from them, while it's not ideal, it's not out of the question either.
I spoke to the church about 2 years ago or so. We had multiple conversations, and the church had no interest of giving that property up for a wastewater treatment center. I refused, as I said before, to take anybody's property, regardless whose property it is.
So this one first then goes to, the last one was Brian, so this goes first to Kevin. So we've seen dwindling numbers of student enrollment in the Pine Plains Central School District. Some people asserting that young families simply cannot afford housing in the area. What can be done to encourage the development of workforce housing in Pine Plains?
It's a complicated question. We've already started some things in Pine Plains to help with workforce housing. What the heck is what is it? The auxiliary dwelling unit. And that's one possible way, to make it, try to encourage landowners to build on the properties and build housing. Mostly in order for the people to afford housing here, there first has to be work here, and there isn't because we don't have the businesses in town to support that.
Yes, we did develop the ADU program. We accepted that in town. Now we need individual homeowners with properties to take advantage of that and build these houses, these accessory dwellings. That will help with the affordable housing.
Great, thank you. The next question is, you walk around downtown Pine Plains, the heart of the town, and you see several buildings laid dormant, empty, closed, including several businesses that have recently closed. What are your ideas to revitalize business in Pine Plains?
We're basically right now currently dressing up the town, trying to bring local businesses in. I don't feel the town board should be picking and choosing what businesses are brought in. We're open for business, it's plain and simple. We have vacancies. If a business would like to come in, it can only expand on the town. You get one in, then another will follow, and it'll be a trickle-down effect. So we are open for business.
So we are seeing some businesses coming to Pine Plains, but I think we're losing more than we're gaining. What we have to do is create an environment to make it friendly for a business to be here. Some of that's going to be the infrastructure necessary. I come back to wastewater again. Businesses can't operate to capacity the way the situation is now. So that's my number one go-to for that. The other thing is offering enticement in the terms of, in the form of a pilot program. So a business can come in and with the idea that they would have reduced taxes for a period. This makes it easier for them to get started, and it's a way of enticing business, something we're already trying to do with the Hudson Company.
So then this one alternating again will be Kevin first. So what role do you think that local government has to ensure that Pine Plains does not become a food desert? Do you believe that local government has a role to play to ensure that residents of Pine Plains have access to a grocery store?
Well, I don't know if it's a right. You know, that's interesting because it's business. And so it's up to business to want to be here, and it's up to business to run themselves in a way that they can survive. Apparently that's not the case here. But yeah, I would do anything that I can to facilitate a grocery store, a functioning grocery store.
He was screaming at me.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You were screaming at
Anyway,
me.
I would do everything that I can to support grocery stores, and I've had nothing to do with Peck's Market or shutting it down. All I've done was support business in this town, and I hope you all see
You
that.
know what? No. Because this person's about
Please be respectful. Please be respectful. Please, the audience, there's no direct questions. Please have a seat.
Yeah, because you don't want to hear from us.
This is not the correct forum for that. Please have a seat. Thank you. So essentially, do you believe that town government has a role to play in ensuring that the people of Pine Plains, do not live in a food desert, that they have access to close nearby source of reliable, fresh and healthy produce and other foods?
I feel the local government has a role to give the tools to businesses to move in, but the local government does not have the right to pick and choose what type of business, who they want to come and who they don't want to come.
So to follow up my question for both of you, do either of you have any specific ideas of how you can make Pine Plains either existing businesses stronger or make the town more attractive to new businesses? I'll start with Kevin.
Yeah, basically it's what I've already said, offer enticement in the form of the pilot program and, create an environment where business can survive. Exactly what that is, I think the best thing that we can do is restart the business association. And that will start communication and use the hive mind to come up with ideas. They can then work with the town board, and we can do things in the town that makes it more palatable for business to be here.
The town is currently dressing itself up with many projects that are going on. That's step one. We need to encourage businesses to come into town, which we can do by word of mouth. There are open vacant buildings that can be occupied currently. Yes, a pilot program will work great, but if you're not the building owner, you're not going to get the pilot program if you're not running the business. So yes, pilot programs in new construction, new businesses that are building new buildings would work great. But we need by word of mouth, hey, you have a business over in Red Hook, Millerton, why don't you come over to Pine Plains, look at Pine Plains, and see if you'd like to open a business there. The building owners also have to be very lenient with their rent. They can't gouge. If they gouge and they get too high of a rent, nobody's going to want to come to Pine Plains. Everybody thinks they have $1 million when they really don't have $1 million, and their building's not worth $1 million. Everybody needs to start low, and then work your way up as your business builds.
So this question was submitted directly from a reader. There has been little to no, according to the reader, they allege that there has been little to no improvement to the town's website, and there still is not a weekly municipal newsletter. What will both of you do to ensure that the town government is in regular communication with the residents of Pine Plains? First, Brian.
Okay, I spoke probably a couple months ago in regards to a newsletter. I was doing a blog on the website under Supervisor's statement. I haven't done that in a couple months because I've been working on the budget, which is very important at this time of year. I would start that back up and do a monthly blog after our current board meeting for that month to bring updates and whatnot of what's going on throughout the town. What was the second part of that question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, essentially that was it. Just what will you do, or what can you do to ensure that?
As far as the website as well. The website, as you've been saying from the beginning, all right? Submit your concerns, your changes you would like through email to my office, and then those changes could be made. Suggestions and everything. We have not received one suggestion since we put that out there. So we don't know which way you guys, anybody would like to go as far as the website. So give us some ideas what you'd like to see, what you would like added to it, and we can add it to it. We can change it. We don't know what you guys, we can't read your minds. That's what it comes down to.
So the first thing I said was that I would, in my opening statement, is that I would work the website over. It's in terrible shape. It's full of misinformation. It doesn't really represent what we want in Pine Plains. I personally went through the whole website and every pull-down menu and found it loaded with mistakes. I wrote a document and I handed it to the town supervisor's office, and nothing was done with that. And I'm not the only one that's handed something in. No changes have been made, and the newsletter that was on there stopped a long time ago. I personally will write a newsletter, and I haven't decided if it would be bi-weekly or how often. It'll be much the way the Cloud administration did it, where the town was duly informed of the events of the town and the needs of the town. So that's one thing you can be sure that I will attack immediately, is the website starting and then the newsletter.
So my final question for the candidates for town supervisor has to do with the natural resources of Pine Plains. So according to the National Center for Environmental Information, since the 1980s, extreme weather events affecting New York State have risen by over 1,000%. Do you believe it is important to protect and to promote Pine Plains natural resources? If so, how can you as town supervisor ensure that that happens? And this one goes, I think, first to Kevin.
So our natural resources are very important in Pine Plains. We have some wonderful things here with the lakes and the mountain. And part of what I've done as a board member was reinvigorating the Conservation Advisory Council, and they've begun the process of doing a natural resource inventory. So those are some of the things that we can do. First, we have to know what we have and have it documented before we can do anything to protect it. We've started that process and we're waiting for more on that to happen. And what was the rest of the question?
So just what can you do as town supervisor to protect and promote the natural resources of Pine Plains?
Yeah, basically that, know what we have, and then from there, work with the grants and see what we can do to protect the waters and the trails.
And then I guess I'll ask each of you the same follow-up question.
Kevin is correct. We've started that natural resource through the CAC. The CAC is a good tool. They're the expert in this matter. I am not. So they would bring recommendations to us, and then we'll act upon those recommendations.
And I'll just end with one follow-up question. Do either of you have specific ideas other than the work of the CAC as town supervisor, how you might promote to eco-tourists, or develop further or protect more the natural resources of Pine Plains? Like this summer we've seen Stissing Beach closed several times. It's seeming to be becoming more frequent. Are there any specific plans either on the CAC or in-town government overall to really think about protecting these resources?
So that's an important question. We have seen the beach closed a lot, and we need to look at that more closely. People have talked about building a swimming pool, and I don't think that's a solution. We have wonderful resources here, and we can mitigate what's going on there. We have to find the sources of the cause, and then there are things that can be done environmentally to make the changes necessary to keep that beach open.
Back to the beach situation. Currently and in the past, with past supervisors and everything, we've tried to find out what the problem is with the beach. We haven't been able to find that problem. One person said it was possibly because of septic systems around the beach, around the lake. That was proven not to be true. The geese were the problem. We've been slowly mitigating that problem. So ultimately, it would be to find out exactly what the problem is and then take care of that problem and fix that problem.
Great. And so thank you both for your responses. We'll call everyone back up at the end of this session for your final closing remarks. So thank you both for participating. So we have the 4 candidates for Pine Plains Town Board: Trevor Roush, Murphy Birdsall, David Prentice,
Trevor,
and Robert
Trevor,
Ambrose.
Can you get 2 more chairs? Somebody's getting chairs. We need 4 chairs.
So let's have a round of applause for these folks for volunteering their time to serve their communities. So we'll begin with brief introductions. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to introduce themselves. Let's go from the left, beginning with David.
Hello, I'm David Prentice. I'm 23 years old. I was born and raised here in Pine Plains. I graduated Pine Plains High School in 2019. I have a family-owned business here. I have a farming business that I do on the side with my brother. I'm doing this to be more part of this community than what I am right now. I like to see the children with sports. Like, I want them to be out there being more involved with the outdoors. And I want to see this community grow bigger and stronger and better together.
Hello, I'm Murphy Birdsall. I grew up in Pine Plains, one of the 4 daughters of Christine Crouch, right down the street. I went to school K through 12 here, then went away. I'm a filmmaker and I shot a student film here. And I also, with my husband Keith Reamer, made our farms, our farmers, which Ben, his brother, was in. And if anyone hasn't seen it, it's going to play at the Dissing Center on November 2nd. I would like to be part of the next steps in Pine Plains. Right now, we've got a gap problem. We've got too many empty businesses, too many empty spaces. I would like to see the town be revitalized, and it can be. I want it to thrive the way it was when I used to live here.
Hello everyone, Robert Ambrose, current town board member. I'm running for my 2nd term. Ben lived in Pine Plains for 49 years, and I'm here to watch Pine Plains grow and advance like it used to.
Hey everybody, I'm Trevor Roush. Like everybody else on the board, I'm a graduate of Pine Plains High School and grew up here, so I feel like all of the voters have a pretty cool cross-generational group of candidates that really represent what Pine Plains is and what Pine Plains can be. I'm a career-long farmer. I run a small-scale forest management business. I co-founded a musical nonprofit and art and music nonprofit that puts on the Old Tone Music Festival. I have a 2-month-old daughter and a 4-year-old daughter, so sometimes my brain's a little cloudy at the moment. My wife is an environmental educator and is a member of the CAC and runs a business in town. I'm running for town board because I would like to make Pine Plains a place where it's affordable for families to live and raise a family and age in place. I believe in cross-generationalism. Like, I love having friends that push me and I can go and I can talk to them about, what was this like in Pine Plains or what was that like in Pine Plains? And I've done that a lot through my campaign, which I've learned so much and it's been great. I really believe in the revitalization of the downtown. I think that I would like to see the town center come back, and when people talk about bringing businesses to town, that's not something the town board does, but the town can help in that, where we can, the town could spend a little money and put on like events that would bring people to town, where you're getting a massive group of people in town at once that will then in turn spend money at these businesses, and that's a natural way of businesses, giving people an option of something to do and then go spend business. I think Pine Plains has always had a bit of a marketing problem, where I talk to somebody and they're like, "Where do you swim?" And I say, "In Pine Plains." And they say, "Where do you hike?" And I say, "In Pine Plains." So it's like using our natural resources to bring in tourism is a huge asset that Pine Plains has. And I want nothing more than to serve this town. I've used this town, and it's my time to serve this town, and I hope you vote for me.
Great, so we'll begin with the first question, and we'll just, rather than change the order by 4 every time, that's a lot of complicated math. We'll just do from left to right and then from right to left, alternating. So let's begin. So as we walk around town, same question that I asked of the town supervisor candidates. You walk around town and you can see that many buildings lay dormant in the heart of Pine Plains, with several recently closing, several businesses, that is, recently closing. So what are your ideas specifically to revitalize business in the center of Pine Plains?
I feel like we need to bring more people into this town to get more people here. That's how businesses survive, by us. If we hold more events and bigger things to get Pine Plains out there, and people see, oh, Pine Plains is such a great town and we have so much to do, we could get more people here to get businesses like little stores and stuff. And if we have more people here, then they could survive, instead of where they can't survive if we don't have a lot of people here.
This really does seem to be the main issue right now. The town just looks devastated. And it is helpful, the beautification committee has been making it look better. I think having it look better is good for business. It's good. I talked to somebody in Red Hook the other day, and she said, "Oh, Pine Plains is such a pretty town." And then she said, "Yeah, I go there for my vet." And the veterinarian office does bring in people from all over the place. I think we have to recognize the trails, obviously the mountain. People come to Pine Plains, and we need to let people know all the good things that are here. and why you come here. And fill in the gaps. We gotta do something about the buildings that aren't being used. And somebody mentioned earlier, one of the supervisor candidates, the rents. You know, we do have to, the rents just cannot be let to go to the highest bidder. You know, we have to pay attention to stuff like that. It's gotta be affordable to have a business here.
I believe that to make Pine Plains grow and advance, we need to allow businesses, more business to come into town. But it's not the town board's job, or it's not their opinion on what comes in. So if anybody ever has any questions on what they want to see brought to town, say something, bring it to us. We're open to suggestions. It's not our opinion, it's not our choice on what businesses come to town. And yes, the rents are too high in town. Pine Plains does need a grocery store. I was saddened when Peck's closed. That was a huge, huge loss to this town, to see Peck's close its stores. I support local businesses. I buy local when I can, but we need more businesses and we need more things in this town.
I mean, there's a lot that's already been said, but and I agree with all of it. But the first thing that came to my mind when Patrick asked that question is, when you walk around Pine Plains has this very unique business district where you could park on one end of it, and you can go to a pharmacy, you can go to a grocery store, you could do everything. And so it's like, you actually have a town feel where it's like, if you see me, I'll park up the street, and whatever me and my family are going to do, we'll walk down one way and then we'll walk back the other. And it's like, if you have kids or something, they're gonna be like, well, what's in there? Let's go in there. Where it's like, Pine Plains is very open for business during business hours. And this is something that's been jarring to me, thinking of something like the business like the Stissing House, where you see hundreds of people coming in Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, waiting for a reservation, and they come to a closed town. And that's there's just businesses, a lot of businesses that aren't open past 6 p.m. Where it's like, if you bring in a business like that, those people are gonna walk in there, and they're probably gonna buy something, and they're probably gonna come back. And I think it's just being open. Like Brian said, Pine Plains needs to be open for business at longer hours.
So now we'll go the other way, beginning with Trevor. So Trevor and all of candidates, do you believe that Pine Plains needs a centralized wastewater system for its downtown business district? Please explain why you do or do not support it, and why you think the town either doesn't need one or needs one, and how you on the town board would see that it got done.
My feelings about the townwide septic system is, I believe if you want to have businesses that will be owned by local people, we need a townwide septic. There's businesses or people that can come in that want to put a business in that can afford to put $1 million septic in. But those people are going to be, are going to not be business owners probably from Pine Plains. Where as someone that's grown up here, I would like to see, kids I went to high school with, or people be able to open businesses here and not have the worry of, I can have 12 people in my restaurant that used to be able to have 57 people in my restaurant. I think that the town board plays a large role in that, and the acquisition of land is something that has been talked about, and I think that if Pine Plains doesn't put a septic in, we're only going to see more businesses not come here or close that have been here because of simple numbers that the buildings allow.
I sat on the sewer committee under Brian. We looked at all avenues of a centralized sewer. We looked at one spot to collect everything in, and we couldn't find a big enough piece of property for it. And then we looked at quadrants. We were gonna split it up into 4 sections. And even then, we were having trouble finding a piece of property. So if we found a piece of property, that would be great. But we're not gonna go in as a board and take away your property from the people.
Yes, I do support the wastewater system. It just seems inevitable. We need it. It's been in the works for quite a while. Yes, we have to find land, but there is land, and we just have to convince somebody that it's a good idea, that we use it. And we don't need a huge amount of land for the system that is being developed. So I don't really see the downside. There apparently also are some onerous county regulations as far as septic go that may not apply if they actually paid attention to the soil in Pine Plains. It is possible that those regulations could be changed so it wouldn't put exactly the burden that we have now on businesses. Some might be able to get away with a septic that they can afford to put in or that they already have. So yes, we need to move forward on wastewater, or it's just going to be too big an impediment to business coming in.
I do support the septic system. Just like what everyone else was saying, the biggest thing is land. I am not going to be looking to take somebody else's land from them. You worked hard to get that land, you're just going to get that taken away from you. It's not a bad thing. Just finding land for the septic systems is going to be the biggest thing. But if we do find land, then I say we move forward and look at grants and see what we could do from there.
So just one follow-up question. By a show of hands, how do you believe that Pine Plains can have a thriving downtown business district without a centralized septic system? So then everyone is in agreement, or all the 4 of you seem to concur that the town cannot proceed to have a thriving downtown business district without a centralized septic system.
What's the hand? Is it yes or no?
I'm just confirming, but thank you all. So then moving right along, speaking about the role of government and building these infrastructure systems, whether it be wastewater or thinking about other essential services such as food for people, who here, one by one this time, what role do you think that local government has in ensuring that Pine Plains does not become a food desert? What will you do on the town board to ensure that residents in Pine Plains have access to a reliable grocer?
I feel like I'm open to every business to come into Pine Plains. We need another grocery store. We need more in this town. But like I said, I'm not going to make the decision to say no to a business or to say yes to the business. I'm always open to say yes, but we do need something in this town.
Well, just first of all, it's not a food desert because we have a lot of food around the farms, around the stands. We have a lot of produce, we have a lot of meat and dairy, so there is food around. Admittedly, it's not in the center of town, but we do need a grocery store. We just, nobody wants to keep going out of town every time they need a lemon or, a piece of bread. Well, we do have bakers too. See, we do have a lot of food producers, and as a stopgap, we could have, and I know we as the board members cannot make this happen, but we can encourage it to happen. We could have a centralized place, a market, where the people who produce food around us could be selling it. And we have to, as with all the other businesses, encourage business to come to Pine Plains. Make it a good place to do business.
I believe we need to encourage any and every business to come to Pine Plains. Encourage anybody to open in Pine Plains. Make it thrive like it used to, and make it grow like it can.
In the terms of the food, I keep wanting to look at David and be like, you know, when you're the fourth person there, you're like, okay, I agree with a lot of stuff. But, and this just came to my mind is, you don't realize how good you have it until you don't have it anymore. And I think that's kind of a jarring thing with what's happening in town and the loss of pets. You know, and I'm sure Brock will tell me it's 130 years or something like that it was there. And you hear stories of, you know, I used to have my groceries delivered. I think, you know, to have a grocery store here the people are gonna come back, because I think that people right now see what a jarring hole it is without a grocery store in this town. And you talk about all the great food that Pine Plains has around it, it's still there. And it will end up in a grocery store in Pine Plains.
So just another question that I also asked of the supervisor candidates. Do you support the construction of a new town hall? If so, why do you support it, or why do you not support it? And how importantly do you propose that the town funds the town hall that was estimated in December to cost $4.5 million?
I support the town hall. Every time I drive through past the Ankrum Town Hall, I get like really jealous. I'm like, look at this beautiful outside space they have in this beautiful building. How come Pine Plains doesn't have that? Ankrum doesn't really have a downtown. Listening to Kevin and Brian talk tonight, I learned a lot more than I have about the process of the town hall. My one thinking of the town hall is, in spending the money, is we have a chance to really build something for the future, and to not just think about in 4 years what we need at the town hall, to really stop and think about it and have as many open discussions about what we would need and what we would want from a town hall. And we still have the property where the old town hall is, that the town owns and can do something with.
Yes, I supported the town hall coming to Pine Plains, to the center of town. That's where it should be. Having it out of town where it is now, it is an inconvenience to the people. It should be in the center of town. It can be in the center of town. It's just not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time to get it there.
I too would like town hall to move into the center of town. The reason, I understand all the reasons why it's a difficult thing to do at this very moment, but personally I think having the town hall right in the center would help businesses, would bring liveliness to the center of town. You know, you'd know who was running the town. You could drop in and you could go to town meetings, and the town hall, apparently the plans also incorporate room for the Historical Society, which doesn't have a space right now. And it has a better space for the court. It has a better space for the police. I don't know, it just totally makes sense to me to have everything right there where everybody can walk to it. I mean, if you're walking to the drugstore, or you're walking to our new grocery store, or, you know, it will bring people together more than they are now.
I also support having a town hall in the middle of town here. It'd be more convenient to everybody. We just gotta get the funding and grants and to see how we can make it work.
Great, thank you. Next question. So something that you yourself brought up is wanting to attract more people to move to Pine Plains. There's dwindling numbers of student enrollment in the Pine Plains Central School District, with some people asserting that young families simply cannot afford to live in the area. They can't afford the rent, can't afford to purchase a new home. What will you do on the town board to ensure or to encourage the development of workforce housing in Pine Plains?
As being a young grown adult, it is definitely hard to afford living out by myself kind of deal. I think affordable housing is a great idea. It'll definitely bring more young people into this town, just to make it better and bigger. I definitely agree that we should definitely do it.
This is a tough one. It is hard to get affordable housing. And one thing I think we can do is look at the underused properties around here. There are places that could support housing. In building new housing, the one thing that concerns me is just not making this town overly dense. I mean, one of the things about Pine Plains is that it has so much open space. So I think there are ways to think about affordable housing in ways that work with the townscape we have. And I think we have to keep our imaginations open. But we have to provide housing for everyone, for young people, for old people, for people who are, just don't have a lot of money. So I'm open to ideas, but I don't have a solution.
Affordable housing is a key to this town. If housing is affordable, it's going to draw more people to the town. If rents are affordable, it's going to draw more businesses to the community. We have to keep things affordable. Affordable is the key, and if we had affordable housing, we would have more people, and we would have more things in this town.
I feel like I talk to a lot of people that are my age. I'm 36, and they're either focusing on trying to save money to buy a house or focusing on saving money to raise a family. And that's a very tough situation to be in, where the dream is to own a house and have a family in that house. So I think affordable housing is a key to having businesses. It's the key. It's a very difficult key, and it's going to take we're going to have to allow some sort of development to come into Pine Plains. And I also think this ties into, I don't know if we'll get the question, where I believe an NRI for the town is very important, where that will help dictate the density of the units that can come into Pine Plains. Or we have a baseline to think about, is this the right, if a large developer was to come in and it couldn't be steamrolled, because we would have the NRI and we would keep Pine Plains' rural character in why we all live here or chose to move here.
Thank you. So Stissing Mountain, Thompson Pond, and other natural features of Pine Plains have drawn many people to both visit and move here. At the same time, Stissing Beach was frequently closed this past summer. Among other concerns, there was the Thompson Pond Trail that was, I believe, refurbished last year. So, along that same vein, what specifically will you do on the town board to both protect and promote the natural resources of Pine Plains?
I love this question. One of the things I really think is important for a town like this is volunteerism. You get to know your neighbor in a nonpartisan way. You're working on a common thing together, and when you're doing something like building a trail together, you're not only improving the natural resources that Pine Plains has, is you're getting to know each other, where you're bridging any type of us and them divide that some people like to call it. But facilitating more trail building is something I feel very passionate about. There was a project started at the lake this year by the CAC that was an open swim area where I would love to see that done, because we're losing that property. I don't know if it was actually a legal swimming property on Lake Road, but we all swam there. So to have a place for people who don't want to swim inside ropes and do things like that is a unique situation. It's hard to find places for people who want to lap swim. And I will do everything I can I will go out there and I will do everything I can. I will, help Keith Sisko hump rocks up the mountain or build steps and do that kind of thing. And I'll do it with a smile, and I'll try to enlist as many people as I see in this audience to go help me with that kind of stuff too.
Our beach area is a huge key to this town. It draws people to this town, our beach. Having it closed during the summer at certain times, that hurts. We need to find out why we're getting closed down and come up with a solution to keep it from getting closed down. Our hiking trails, they need to be beautified and kept up so we can hike up on the mountain and go around Thompson Pond. And we need to beautify what we have now and work from that.
One thing about the closing of Stissing Lake for swimming is that it is tested by the county, and apparently it's tested not accurately. That they're supposed to test the water close to the shore and then go out and test the water in deeper and find out, how the water is overall. What I've heard, and I haven't observed this, so it's hearsay, but is that they only test it near the shore. Obviously, it's going to be more polluted near the shore than it is where it's deeper. So we do have to ask the county to do what they're supposed to do, and keep the beach open. If obviously, if it's not healthy, they can close it, but they have to test it accurately. The other thing is, we should have an outdoor store here. People should come here and get their outdoor stuff and use those trails.
We definitely do have to figure out the solution with the beach, on why is it getting closed here and there. Once we figure that out, then we got work on it. I mean, the beach is beautiful. I used to swim there all the time when I was a kid. Then Stissing Mountain, that's such a beautiful hike to do. And just gotta keep the trails up to date and make them safe for people to walk on them. And yeah.
Can you share with the voters gathered here before us today, what is one thing that you, if if you accomplish that one thing, you will have considered your time on the town board a success. What is that one thing for you?
Bringing the community together more than what it is now. That's going to be my biggest thing.
Well, it's really hard to top that, but I want to see a thriving center of town. If I could see that, I would be really happy.
I myself would just like to see the center rebuilt to what it used to be.
I don't want to limit myself to one thing. I want to do like as many things as possible. I can't even come up with one thing because I have 500 things in my head. And that's, I love accomplishing things. I love getting things done. And that's what I want to do. I want to accomplish things and get things done. I want to finish projects that started years ago. I want to start new committees. I want to get more people together. I want to do it all. I want to make Pine Plains a place that will be here, that will stay here, and I want my daughter to be speaking on this microphone if she wants to in 30 years.
And so those are the questions that I had for you all. Perhaps I believe we are running well on time, so I can ask one more of you. What is it about Pine Plains that makes Pine Plains what it is? That's the question.
I might have lied to you guys before. I grew up in Elizaville. And I was always jealous. I came here on the school bus every morning, and I was always jealous of the kids that lived in Pine Plains. There's such that all the kids that grew up in Pine Plains always felt like this little gang that all would run around together and have fun. And I worked for a tour band. I was a tour manager for a band for a while, and I went to everywhere. And I was like, this is nice, but have you heard of Pine Plains? I have friends that joke that I should be a tour guide of Pine Plains because I'm just that's where so-and-so lives. That's where so-and-so lives. And everyone in this room has the same feelings of Pine Plains. It's kind of a magical place.
Pine Plains is special to me. I grew up here, lived here for 49 years, and I just want to see it grow to what it was back then and see what it can be. I know what it can be, and I just want to see it get back there.
Thank you for that question, because I just was thinking about, so what is it about Pine Plains? And it's a small town, and it has a town center. And it's got all this open land around it and within it, and it's very charming. it's relaxing, and it's unlike other towns. It's unlike other towns around here. And I think partly, for me, maybe it is the way it's set up. There's a crossroads, and there are businesses around it, and will be more businesses in the future, of course.
Pine Plains is just a beautiful, small hometown where everybody knows everybody. There's just something about it that is just nice. Everybody most likely gets along. I always look forward to, I go away on vacations, and I'm just I can't wait to get back to Pine Plains because it's my hometown, and I love it.
Thank you all. We'll bring you back to do your closing remarks at the conclusion of the event. Thank you all for your answers and for participating in local government and democracy. So next up, I'm going to call the Comptroller, the Dutchess County Comptroller, Dan Aymar-Blair. His opponent is a gentleman by the name of Will Truitt, who unfortunately tonight could not be with us. He's going to a pre-planned vigil. It's in Dutchess County, so he cannot be here. He sent his regards to everyone. So your introduction, please. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dan Aymar-Blair, Dutchess County Comptroller, and very pleased to be here with you tonight. So I am a resident of Dutchess County. I live down in the city of Beacon, where my wife and I are raising our two sons, both in middle school, both in public schools. And my job as Dutchess County Comptroller is to basically protect your tax dollars from waste and mismanagement. It is the duty as the financial watchdog for the county to audit all claims and all payments going out of the county to make sure they're being done appropriately. And we do reporting to share highlights about information going on with the county budget that it would be interesting to the public, but also serves another purpose, which is to help improve the government. The idea of the Comptroller's Office is that we look at things that have happened in the past, projects, capital projects, different types of things, and we take the lessons that we can learn from those implementations and use them to inform the county government to do better in the future. And I'm very proud of the work that we've been doing in the office. When I ran for office last year for the first time, I'm running 2 years back to back. I've been running nonstop for about 21 months. What I said last year is, you don't need a Republican or a Democratic comptroller. You need a comptroller who knows what they're doing. You need to have somebody with the experience and the independence to do the job. There is no Republican or Democratic way to check if two numbers match. You just need to know which numbers are supposed to match. I have 20 years of experience in government operations. I worked for 15 years for the New York City Department of Education, where I managed a budget as big as Dutchess County's, and I also have the independence to do the job. I have not been involved in any of the policy discussions. I haven't been a county legislator. I haven't been involved at the county before I was in the Comptroller's office. So everything that I look at, I'm looking at with clear eyes, with nothing but objectivity. We're just looking at what we see, what are the rules, and are we following those rules? And I hold that in the Comptroller's office, I will continue to maintain that there is a nonpartisan approach. I work with my auditors relentlessly to make sure that every single statement that comes out of our office is objective truth and backed by verifiable information, verifiable public information. And I feel like that we've been doing a good job. I've been in office for 9 months, and I'm very proud of the work that I've done. And I hope I get to talk about that more as Patrick asks questions.
So thank you for briefly describing what exactly it is that a comptroller does for our voters here. So going forward, can you describe the work that you believe that you've accomplished since you were first elected?
So when I ran for office last year, I made 2 promises to voters. I made 2 promises to everyone in this room. I said, we're going to increase the output of the Comptroller's office, and we're going to put out more financial reporting than you've ever seen before. And I said that we're going to make efforts to see that that work goes farther. And I've made good on both of those promises. As of right now, it looks like we're going to complete this fiscal year with more financial reporting coming from the Comptroller's office than any comptroller since the position was created in 1968. And the reason I'm doing that is because I have access to a lot of information, and that information belongs to you. My job is a public service. I give information about the county government back to the people so that they can be informed when they go and they vote. The other promise that I made is that I would extend the reach of this work so people are actually getting this information. My bet is that none of you are going home tonight to read a 25-page PDF on the Comptroller's website. My hunch, though, is that you might have 90 seconds to watch the highlights on Instagram. So we do an Instagram video with every report that we release now. We added a glossary of terms to the end of the reports because our reports need to be written in a very precise way. We have to use very precise language to get accuracy. But not everybody knows those terms, so we included the glossary of terms. I've also done 11 town halls around Dutchess County, teaching people about what the Comptroller's office is, why having an independent comptroller is important, sharing the findings of our most recent reports, and also talking a little bit about the Dutchess County budget. I'm very proud of both of those accomplishments.
So what do you see as the most significant fiscal challenge facing Dutchess County, and what can you do in your capacity as Comptroller to address that challenge?
Sure. Well, we hear a lot from the county government about how they have a good bond rating, a AA+ bond rating, and then they have a healthy fund balance, which is essentially the savings for Dutchess County. And I would have a very good credit score and really healthy savings too if I ignored my children's need for braces or I didn't want to send my kids to school. So I think what we need to do is we need to start talking about how we can do more with what we have. And the way that we do that is we weed out waste. I see it all the time. I see it in many contracts. I see it in large capital projects. I certainly see it in real estate transactions that are being done before the due diligence has been completed. I found $45 million of waste in the Dutchess County budget just by scratching the surface in these first 9 months. And it barely took much to look. It was, these big real estate projects. I see contracts that are written in ways that we could be spending less money on the same things. And when people say like, oh, well, we can't do more because we don't want to raise taxes, what I argue is you have a lot of money in the county government that's not working for the people, and we could put that to work for the people.
So can you describe how the Comptroller's office can make county spending more transparent to residents, particularly those residents of Dutchess County who live in smaller, more rural areas such as Pine Plains?
Sure. So the first thing that we can do is we can put the information about who we're paying and how much up on the website, and we do that now. We have the taxpayer's checkbook, which is available on the Comptroller's website. You can see all the bills that we're paying every month, and I think that's a great asset. What we do in our office is we collect information that we put together into a report. So when we're doing claims auditing, we will find patterns in what we're looking at. And sometimes when we find a pattern, what we'll do is we'll just go back to the department head and say like, hey, it looks like maybe your clerk needs a little more training on the system. But if we see a pattern that really needs to be reported to the people, we put that out. And I think putting out the volume of information that we have and will continue to do is a big part of what we're talking about. Did I get to the thrust of your question? Is that adequate?
Thank you. So another question I have is the Comptroller's office is designed inherently to function independently of the county executive and legislator. How do you and how will you, if reelected, continue to maintain that independence and avoid partisan influence?
Sure. So my reports have been called partisan, and I invite anyone to look at the reports, and they're no more or less partisan than anyone else. Reports from the Comptroller's office usually get called partisan when people don't like the results of them. And what I would just say to that is, I started in January, and one of my first meetings was with the county executive, Sue Serino, and we had a very pleasant meeting. And what I said to her, I said, let's put all the partisanship aside. Let's stop talking about how, audit reports are pointing fingers. An audit report is actually a gift. An audit report is something that you want. Municipalities are required to do audits because it's good for them. What I said to Sue was, most of the stuff that the Comptroller's office is going to be looking at really preceded her, so this was an opportunity for her and I to work together and to implement the recommendations from the reports. And I still hold out hope that that's going to happen. We meet regularly, the county executive and I, and we talk about the findings of my reports, and at the end of the year we'll probably start doing scorecards to share with the public to show what findings and what recommendations have been implemented by the county. But when I got into office, I went around, I met with every single commissioner in the county, I think everyone, actually the sheriff, everybody, and I sat down with them, and one of the first things I said is, let me know what I can audit for you. I'm here to help. If there's a program in your office that you think the financial operations need to be tightened up, I'm here for you, just give me a call. And another example of that is when District Attorney Anthony Parisi got into office. Anthony Parisi, who's a Democrat, went to the Republican Comptroller and said, please audit me. I'm the first new district attorney in a really long time. I don't know what I need to do to tighten up my financial operations and my policies and procedures. Could you please do an audit? And he did do an audit, and it worked out quite well.
So you said that you, off the top, were able to locate $45 million in waste. Can you explain to voters what happens then to that $45 million found in waste? Does that return to them somehow? what is the net benefit for residents of Dutchess County having a comptroller who discovers, millions of dollars in waste?
Sure. So waste comes in different shapes and forms. The $45 million in waste that I'm talking about is four large real estate projects that bore no fruit for the people and continue to flounder without a plan. And there are other types of waste and that money cannot be recouped unless those properties are sold at a cost that would cover some of the other architectural and engineering fees that were built in. So I'll give you an example. We have a 26 Oakley Street homeless shelter in downtown Poughkeepsie. I'm not starting a conversation about homelessness. I look at everything through the math. They spent $2.1 million on a homeless shelter in Poughkeepsie, another $1 million on architectural engineering fees, title things, and only after we made $3.1 million in purchases, only then did the county bring in New York State and ask whether it was up to code, and the county said, and the state said, no, it's gonna cost you $15 million. They had to go out and get a $13.5 million grant for one building. Now, just for context, the entire downtown revitalization grant for the entire city of Poughkeepsie is $10 million. This isn't smart business, this isn't good business. The other type of waste that we had, and that's money out the door unless we sell that property and cover our losses. There's other types of waste that we see, and we see it in contracts. And the way that we do that is we don't publish a report about that. What we do is we just go back to the office and we say, hey, what's going on here? We see an invoice here for $1.5 million. It doesn't say what it's for. We look at the contract, we read the entire contract, and we still can't tell what this is for. We send it back.
Thank you. And your office this past year released a report detailing the level of funding that's currently coming from the federal government to Dutchess County. Can you describe how prepared Dutchess County is for either state or federal cuts to funding?
Sure. So let's see. There's a lot going on in the world. I'm always looking at Dutchess County's economy and always trying to track how we're doing, because Dutchess County's budget is primarily funded by sales taxes. So Dutchess County's budget is very, very sensitive to boom and bust cycles. We spend about a quarter of our tax profile is property tax and 3/4 is sales tax. Property tax I can predict. I can estimate pretty well what property tax is going to be next year. Sales tax, that's up to you. Are you buying a new car this year? Are you getting a new dishwasher? Are you getting repairs on the house? That is really up to voters. That's up to the people of Dutchess County. The sensitivity to sales tax collection is very much a thing that we're watching. We're watching every single sales tax disbursement that we get from New York State. I am now paying attention to tariffs. We are starting to get bills at the county in the last month. We're starting to see invoices that have tariff fees. So we have to put out guidance to our department heads about how to handle tariff fees. We were looking earlier in the year, and this is what you were referencing to, there was a lot of outcry after the OMB memo came out that said all federal disbursements were going to be suspended. This was not a Republican or Democratic concern. Every single government finance officer in the United States, many of whom I was with in Albany at the time, at the Government Finance Officers Association, were freaking out. Because in Dutchess County, 10% of our spending comes from federal dollars, and it's not wasteful stuff. Some of this stuff is it's $3.5 million, for example, to assist children with needs, with special needs to find permanent placement, children who are orphans to get permanent placement. Those kids have a really hard time finding permanent homes, and they bounce around from foster home to foster home and never really get the services that they need to thrive. $3.5 million is part of that. None of that money was touched, thank goodness. The OMB memo was rescinded. Other executive orders were out there, but they didn't affect the county. But we're always watching that. I'll just add to that, there's something that goes on in New York State that I can't stand too. In New York State, we have a special arrangement where New York State passes its Medicaid costs down to the county level. It's the only state in the union that does it. And it's absurd. Every week I have to sign off on a check for $760,000 to New York State. I have no influence on it's not like we can lower that number by being more efficient at the county. That's just the number we have to pay. It comes out to $43 million a year that we pay into Medicaid, and there's no reason for it. Albany should pay its own bills, and we could use that $43 million to lower taxes and improve the services that come from the county.
So just lastly, how are Dutchess, and briefly, how are Dutchess County's finances overall, and what do you propose to do if reelected to ensure that residents of Dutchess County, particularly here in Pine Plains, see that their tax dollars are being well spent?
Well, I want to just parse that a little bit, because good financial management is basically making sure that you have good totals at the end of your ledger. How you get there is what really matters. If you have, like I said earlier, if you have a balanced budget but you're not doing anything for the people, what good is it? If everybody's paying taxes but the money's going into the county savings account, wouldn't you want your taxes to be lowered? So what I say is, the bottom line looks good right now because sales tax collection is good. Your bond rating goes down when your sales tax collection drops off. Your bond rating is recalculated annually. How you get there is what matters, and I'm not in the policy making side, so I'm not here to give policy prescriptions. We have county legislature candidates who will be here for that tonight, but I think that there's money to find all over the place in Dutchess County's budget, and I think it's a real shame because I think if we were spending more efficiently, we could have more buses, more free buses, we could replace the incinerator, we could do all of these things. We could improve our roads, fix our culverts, so many things, improve EMS. But I'm not on the policy making side. All I can say is that I see a lot of waste in the system, and I know that the county can do more.
Great, thank you so much. And again, we'll have you deliver your closing remarks at the end. So now we will introduce our candidates for Dutchess County Legislator for District 19. We have Tonya Pulver and Chris Drago. So we will begin with introductions. We can do Tonya Pulver first.
Hi, I'm Tonya Pulver. Oh, sorry, I didn't think of that. Hi, I'm Tonya Pulver. I'm a lifelong resident of Pine Plains. I was born and raised here. I then went to Dutchess Community College for my associates, got my bachelor's and my master's from Marist. So I'm in the county my entire life. I am a 26-year-long employee for the Millbrook Central School District. I'm currently a school psychologist there. Basically what I like to say is I listen for a living, and that's what I plan to do in this capacity. I am not a politician by trade. I am a school psychologist and just somebody who wants to see my communities thrive. I feel like nobody else was running. Chris is a great guy, but no one was running against him, and I feel like a lot of people deserve a right to have a choice. So rather than just complain that no one was running, I decided to throw my hat in.
Hi everyone, Chris Drago, I'm your proud county legislator. First off, I want to thank all the candidates that are here tonight and have decided to step up to run for office, and those already in office. It's not easy, and it takes a lot of time and courage, and so thanks for doing that today. And thanks everyone for being here and being part of this with us, and for the Herald for providing this forum at a time when there is a lack of sort of a central trusted news source anymore. It's great to have something like the Herald in our community that is out there. It's been an honor and a pleasure and a privilege to be your county legislator for almost 2 years now. I grew up in Dutchess County, lived here almost my whole life. My parents are here. They still live in the house that I grew up in over on Hollow Road in the town of Clinton. I decided to run a couple years ago because I saw an opportunity to serve my community and to give back to Dutchess, a place that over the years has given me so much. And when I ran, I also saw an opportunity to bring more awareness of what county government can do for you. When I ran, I realized a lot of people didn't understand the role of what a county legislator does or what county government can do. The county budget this year is $630 million. It's a lot of money. And what I realized was there wasn't enough focus on what our unique needs are here in Northern Dutchess, and we have very unique needs. And I ran to be your advocate, and I ran to be your person to look out for you at the county level, to make sure that as decisions are being made, they're being made for you. And in the time that I've been in office, I feel like I've delivered. I hope to have an opportunity to talk to you about some of those things. Things like enhanced emergency service, enhanced mental health access to Northern Dutchess, and more affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you. So as we've heard over the course of this evening, housing affordability remains a challenge across the county. What county level policies do you support to make it easier for working families and seniors to stay in rural communities? We can begin with Tonya.
Thank you. Actually, just last week I found out about a program that Dutchess County has that I don't think many people here know about. A woman actually came from the housing department, and they're doing a program for seniors in high school and for senior citizens as well, lessons on how to make sure you get your debts down so that you can afford housing at a really good rate. And so they're starting it in the high schools where they're teaching people how to do that, and then they're also going into the senior centers, trying to get more information out there, because there is some support for affordable housing at the county level. We also obviously need to, like everybody here was talking about in the town, we need to make sure there's more open space for those housing developments in the local communities. A condo in Poughkeepsie doesn't really help us much here, so we need those inputs and apartments and things like that. I was looking the other day, there was an apartment for rent, it was 2 bedrooms, and I went and I looked, the bedroom was like the size of this table and it was $3,000. Nobody can afford that. We just need to get the rents down. More property would help, more business, no, not businesses, sorry, I'm not a public speaker. More homes would bring those prices down, so that's what we need to do. But we also need to train people and teach people on how to buy an affordable house. If you can get your interest rate down, that's one big step, and I think the training for kids and for senior citizens would be really helpful.
Affordability is a problem across the board in our county, and especially in rural Dutchess. I mean, I have so many people who have come to me to talk about how they just can't afford to live here anymore. People who are leaving the county to move to Columbia or Ulster, even leave the state because they can't live here to raise families. And affordable housing is a key aspect of that. When the Pine Plains Herald wrote an article last April highlighting the fact that Dutchess County failed to apply for the +1 ADU grant, meanwhile Columbia County and Ulster did, getting millions of dollars for their for middle and low income households to apply to have accessory dwelling units built or renovated, I was appalled. The county dropped the ball. And being a legislator that had just been in office for a couple months, I felt like I dropped the ball. But I jumped into action and rallied leaders in each of our communities. Janine Sisko, one of them here in Pine Plains, jumped to say, hey, we want to participate in this. So I did my research, I talked to Michelle Hinchy's office and Dee Dee Barrett's office and found out, hey, there's actually going to be another round, a final round of this +1 ADU grant program that we could apply for. So over the months, got interest in so that when the RFP went live, we could, the towns who were, wanted to raise their hand and apply could apply. I asked the county again, are you going to apply on behalf of multiple municipalities? And they again said no. The grant went up, and thankfully, because I've been having conversations with Hudson River Housing, they were aware of what was going on, they were aware that there was interest, and they ended up applying on behalf of a number of towns in Dutchess County. And fast forward, we found out that Dutchess County then got awarded a $6 million grant to help people, to provide more affordable housing through this program. So, Patrick, your question was, what more can the county specifically do? This is an instance where the county dropped the ball, and I acted as a connector to the state to find a solution. We have a housing trust fund that that was funded a few years ago, and while we've been awarding programs against that fund, we keep spending against it, but the county budget this year did not refund that fund balance. So we're spending more, and we have less money to do more with, and so that's one of the reasons I voted no on the county budget this year, because we need to be investing in things that are going to help people with more affordable housing, and that's one of them.
So how will you, if elected or re-elected, ensure that rural towns in northern Dutchess County, including obviously here Pine Plains, have a strong voice and receive adequate attention and funding from Dutchess County? We'll begin this time with Chris Drago.
I feel like I've been that voice. It's one of the reasons why I ran. I've been a vocal voice of fighting for the needs of Dutchess County, of northern Dutchess County, because historically those needs have been forgotten in favor of the needs of the more populous parts of the county. And as I said before, we have unique needs. At times we have more in common with what's happening in Columbia County than we do other parts of Dutchess. In the eyes of New York State, we're not seen as a rural county because of the nature of Dutchess, but we have rural needs. And so I will continue to fight for those unique needs and make sure that we have a seat at the table. And it's important in county government right now, we have single party control. I'm not part of that party, and which means I need to really be vocal, and I need to fight every day to make sure we have a seat at the table. And I'm hopeful that going into this next election cycle, we're gonna have a chance to flip the county, and that's when we're really gonna have a seat at the table, and just wait to see what we do then.
Like I had said before, I listen for a living, and that's what I plan on doing. I have been actively calling each constituent in District 19 and finding out what they need. And I plan on then going to the legislature and fighting for what the constituents here need. Mostly, it's the affordable housing, it's the EMS. I've had people call me just saying they just need to know who to go to get a tree cut down at their house. They don't know who to go to. So I plan on being that voice. I plan on talking to the legislators, talking to the county exec, making my voice known for everybody that's a constituent. Not just the Republicans, not just the Democrats, every single one of you, because we can't do this without collaboration.
Just a follow-up question. Do both of you believe that Pine Plains, Stanford, Milan receive an adequate share of county resources from the $630 million budget?
I'll take that. I believe that there's more that we could have. I also believe that we don't raise as much as the sales tax and all that's coming. So we are getting a portion. Do I think we should get more? Yes, I do. Do I think we need to be more collectively controlling what we're getting and what it's for? Yes. I don't think that people that live in Poughkeepsie can tell me what my communities need. And I think that's where we need to tighten up things across the board.
I do believe we need more. We need, and when I've heard from many of you and constituents across the district over the last few years, there are gaps, and there are things that other parts of the county are getting that we don't. Things like transportation, things like better access to mental health, things like making sure that we have, even though we're a rural part of the county, more consistent and reliable emergency service. There needs to be a distribution of resources so that everyone in the county is taken care of, not just those that are in the more populous areas. Dutchess County is a huge county. We go from Pauling and Beacon all the way up to Red Hook and Northeast and Pine Plains, and we need to make sure that we have a voice at the table who is going to fight and be a check on some of those decisions that are currently being made by a county executive that isn't necessarily has us in mind as much as they should. And so I will continue to be that voice and keep fighting because we deserve more.
So despite a $2 million investment in the form of additional emergency service vehicles from Dutchess County, Pine Plains has not received much help, with the majority of services going to more densely populated areas in southern Dutchess County, such as Poughkeepsie. From April through June, Pine Plains recorded an average Priority 1 response time of 12 minutes and 58 seconds, according to the county's own second quarter EMS report. That is well above the established 9-minute national benchmark for life-threatening emergencies. What specifically in the legislature will you do at the county level to improve EMS services for rural northern Dutchess County? Since Chris answered first last time, we'll go to Ms. Tonya Pulver.
Hi, thank you. So first of all, I believe solving the EMS problem is multifaceted. It's not just something that you can just throw dollars at, because if I throw dollars at it and I buy a new ambulance and we have no one to run that ambulance, we still have the problem. I feel as though Dutchess Community College and even Dutchess BOCES are now doing EMT programs, and they're doing these at a reduced cost so people can get the training that they need. 20 years ago, you didn't need to have all the training, you just had to have the basics. Now you have to know everything just because the litigation and everything else that's going on. So I feel like, one, we need to get more EMTs, we need to get them trained at a reduced rate so it's not all coming out of their pocket, and we need to, even the paid ambulance squads are having problems getting people to work. So that's what we have to do. We have to get that out there. I do believe we need a combination of paid and volunteer. I don't think it can ever be done just on volunteers, and I don't think it can ever be done on paid. Everybody in this community, first of all, for a 9-minute response time, even if there was somebody sitting in the ambulance, we're such a vast community that 9 minutes isn't just, it's not possible. So I would love it if it were, but I feel like people that move into these areas that are so rural, that's one of the drawbacks. It's just like we don't have a hospital that close. That's just something that's the community we live in, and that's what makes Pine Plains, and Millerton, Millerton. It is rolling hills and back roads, and that makes response times a little more. I don't like it, but that's where we chose to live. So that's my answer.
So when I ran for office, this was an issue near and dear to my heart and my family's heart. And when I learned that the county government at the very last minute passed not even a resolution, it was an amendment to spend $25 million on a minor league baseball stadium improvements instead of investing in getting people help faster through EMS, I was appalled. While I'm encouraged, that we now have the county executive's attention on this critical issue after it being ignored for many, many years. $2 million is a drop in the bucket, and it's, even the county executive will admit this, a stopgap Band-Aid measure. We've learned, as you said, Patrick, that through supplemental service, which is what primarily this $2 million is supporting, isn't supporting our part of the county as well as it should. Before Commissioner Beal, who was acting Commissioner Beal of EMS, before he was appointed, I had a conversation with him about this, and he has already made improvements to how supplemental EMS is dispatched, so it's dispatched faster, and with the hope that at least for now, will get our part of the county help sooner. We've known what the answer is for over 10 years. There have been 2 different studies at the county level that speak to regionalization as the answer. And we need to move faster toward that longer term goal. Ultimately, it needs to be a hybrid solution. Right now, we have NDP that was just bought by Empress, which is owned by a private equity company, which makes me very nervous that now, could service levels go down and costs go up. But I do believe there is a role in the future for a countywide solution that still values the amazing work that our volunteers are doing, and in those communities like Pine Plains that are stepping up and can show that response times are going down, keeping volunteers in place, giving them what they need to succeed, but having the county come in and support to alleviate the pressure and just make overall the overall system better.
Thank you. So my next question pertains to agriculture. So agriculture remains a central, so central to life, culture, and the economy here in Northern Dutchess. How would you, in the legislature, support farmers facing rising costs, labor shortages, and land use pressure?
So there are a few things. I'm on the board. I'm a legislative representative on the Cornell Cooperative Extension Board. And when I was growing up as a kid, I just remember the amazing organization that the extension was. And when I joined the board, I asked to be on the board because I knew that the extension was floundering and needed help. So I came on board, and I found out that there, just based on confusion at the county level, the extension was not getting funding in the same way that many other counties, almost every other county in New York State are getting it in the form of an appropriation, which would then qualify them for 224 matching funds, which would just mean more money for overhead, which would help the extension just do their work better. And do their work better in support of farmers and agriculture in our community. So that's one thing that I want to make sure we continue to do and continue to support as that bedrock. And the other thing is, with all of the federal cuts that happened this year or threaten to happen, and that will likely continue going into next year, we need to continue to protect our farmers to make sure that grants that are coming through get followed through on, and that there are grants available and continue to be available. While that is a federal thing, it's going to land very directly in our community and have a very real impact. So as a legislator, I want to help as much as I can with the resources I have available to me, but at the same time, be a voice to folks at the state and federal level who can also lend a hand to help.
So currently, Dutchess County has a position called the Ag Navigator. It's been for quite a while. I would propose vamping that up. This is a person that connects the farmers to grants, to people that will work, to new ideas. So if somebody comes into town and says, listen, I want to do a little horse farm, they can help them find the property, they can help them find the people, and they can help provide grants. That is done through the county, and like I said, it's a program where you're telling the person what you need, and that person is helping you go through the system and the federal funds and the state funds in order to get those in place. So I think we just need to continue with the Ag Navigator and everything that Cornell's doing, which is an amazing program.
So I suppose we have time for at least one more question. So what, you've overheard all of the questions that the candidates for town supervisor and the town board have answered tonight. And a common theme that keeps occurring, that keeps rising up, is what to do in a town where so many businesses seem to be shuttering. There are so many, or several at least, vacant buildings. Is there anything that you can do in the legislature to encourage business in your district to help small municipalities like Pine Plains to thrive? And I believe it's Tonya to answer first.
So not to reinvent the wheel, in going through and doing all this campaigning, I've been in quite a few towns. Pine Plains definitely needs help. I would like to, if you go to the town of Millerton, the village of Millerton, all the businesses are thriving. So I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I just want to go and partner with people who have made success. So I've already talked to people in Millerton to see what they're doing and what's working and what's not there. I do believe, town of Pine Plains, the biggest thing I'm going to say is shop local. The reason these businesses are all closing is because we're not going there. When I go to the store, when I go to the post office, all I see are Amazon boxes. That's not, and then all the other people like ShopRite, they now deliver. So no one's going into packs. So one thing I would say is shopping local, it's not only gonna keep our businesses the way they are, we're gonna get the sales tax, because we're not getting sales tax from Amazon either. So I think part of what I'm doing is educating as well as listening. That's what I want to do, and that's what I can do at the county level.
This past year, a store owner came to me for help and asked for advice on what more could the county do to support their business. And so I invited our Commissioner of Economic Development, Ron Hicks, to meet with that store owner, and we had a conversation about what resources exist at the county level, and there were some. But what he also explained was we really need to be met halfway. And so ideally what needs to happen is there needs to be a plan that comes from the town, possibly from, and it was mentioned earlier, a business committee of representing different businesses in the town that could then come with a plan about what they want to do. We as the county can't really come in to tell you what to do, and that's not our role, and that's not something I necessarily want to do. And but I think if we have a plan, that it's a solid plan, that there's buy-in, broadly across that group and voters, then it's like, oh wow, they're organized, they have a plan. That's where we can step in and find ways to fund. That's where we can get our state and federal officials to come in to potentially find ways to fund. One idea was just looking at the crossroads by the light, and Ron sort of pointed up after the meeting and said, look at all the wires and look at all the signs and look at these signs on the sidewalks. He said, he mentioned another town where this was a similar instance where the town got together and said, we want to change this. They did, and then they found the funding. It didn't all have to be funded by local taxpayer support, but there's a way of getting creative, but we need a plan first.
Great, thank you very much. Round of applause for the candidates for Dutchess County Legislature. So now, well, first of all, I really want to just thank everyone for coming tonight. It's really incredible to see so many people here. Thank you for supporting not only local journalism, but for democracy itself by coming out, hearing what your local candidates have to say, and participating in this public forum. So, round of applause for all of you. And now, lastly, I'd just like to invite, I suppose by category, each candidate to come up and give a minute of 30 seconds, of closing remarks. So, for candidates for Town Supervisor, we have Brian Walsh and Kevin Walsh.
So tonight you heard a common theme that the town needs to revitalize, work needs to be done on downtown area, we need to make it palatable for business. It's not easy to do, everybody agrees, and everybody seems to agree that we need central wastewater. That's going to be central to all the development in Pine Plains and the growth that comes forward. So that, for me, is number one. And then everything else that I said about improving the town website. And so, vote for me in November and you'll see change in Pine Plains and we will move forward. Thank you.
First off, I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight and joining us, taking time out of your busy schedules to be here tonight. Thank you to the Herald for being here. And anything moving forward we cannot do without you. The 5 board members cannot do anything without the public, without your support. And I hope we have your support. Thank you.
All right, now we will move to candidates, closing remarks from the candidates for the town board.
There was a beloved Pine Plains resident who worked in the town court for a long time, and when she found out I was running for a town position, she said, once you get sworn in, be ready to be sworn at. And I want to be the town board member that invites you to come swear at me. I want engagement. I want discussion, and through that discussion, that's how we will build a better town that works for all of us. People talk about being heard, but I really want to hear you, and I have thick skin. And voting starts in October 25th.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. And a vote for me in November is not just a vote for me. I work for you guys. I work for each and every one of you in this room. It's not whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, I work for the taxpayers.
Well, I've heard a lot of agreement here tonight, which is great. I mean, it bodes well for the community that so many people can agree on what needs to be done. It's true, you have to come out and vote, and you have to participate in the government. Voting does start October 25th, and it continues through to November 4th, and then we'll have a government.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. I'm here for you guys. I like to see this community grow bigger. That's my main goal, is to make it grow bigger and better than what it is right now. Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you again for participating, and closing remarks from Comptroller Dan Aymar-Blair.
Thank you again, Pine Plains, for having me tonight. It's been a pleasure, and I hope that you learned a lot. This is a very romantic scene in the American tradition. It's the civic participation. It's right out of a Norman Rockwell painting, and I really appreciate you all for being here. I would just want to close with saying that, I have had a lifetime of public service, and I've had a lifetime working in financial operations, improving government operations. And I am absolutely delighted that you elected me into the Comptroller's office last year. And I have been having a wonderful time doing this work for you. I've been getting along great with the team. I didn't need to get any training when I started. We just jumped right in and started working together. I write reports on my own, that we do everything collaboratively in the office and look at each other's work, and we share ideas with each other. And it's just been a complete joy for me. And I'm really grateful to have this opportunity, and that this opportunity is doing the work for the people. And I'd very much like to continue doing it for you, and I would love to have your support. Thank you very much.
Finally, of course, we have our candidates for Dutchess County Legislator, Chris Drago and Tonya Pulver.
So I'll say it again, I'm Tonya Pulver. I am not a political person. I'm about what's doing what's right. I plan on collaborating with Democrats, Republicans, whoever wants to come and talk to me. We need to all work together to make these communities all better. We have a lot of areas that need improvement, and the only way we can do that is all together.
Thank you for electing me, your county legislator, and thank you for allowing me to be your voice for our community. I've listened a lot over the last couple of years, and I've heard from many of you of the things that are important to you and the things that haven't been acknowledged and addressed by county government historically. I've just begun that work, making progress in a few areas, but we need to keep at it. And I want to keep fighting for you to make sure that each and every one of you get what you deserve as residents of Dutchess County. And I promise to continue to fight that fight, to be your advocate, to be your person, to be accessible and transparent and communicative. If you don't sign up for my regular emails, please do, because that's a great way to stay in touch with what we're doing and some of the issues that face our community. I'm also active on Instagram and Facebook, another place. My phone number is easily accessible. I'm happy to give it to you, or my email address. Always, feel free to get in touch with me. And I hope to have your vote. We have a Get Out the Vote party coming up on the 25th at the Mountain View. You're all invited. Please tell your friends. This is an opportunity for us to come together to celebrate the great community we are and to celebrate the act of voting. Thank you.
Thank you again, everyone, for coming tonight, all of the candidates, the audience. Early voting begins October 25th. and then Election Day is shortly after that on November 4th. So thank you all for coming, and you can always read more about the upcoming elections at newpineplainsherald.org. Thank you very much.